for life.
All right, good afternoon. We'll begin our meeting with our pledge and prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us to be in this setting. We thank you for our community. Lord, we thank you for our faculty and staff. We thank you for our kids and our families. Lord, they're special to us. God, they hold a special place in our heart. Lord, we ask you that you would lead, guide, and direct during this meeting, that all glory and honor would be pointed towards you. And Lord, that you would discern our minds, God, to the right decisions to make. And Lord, that we would make them with you in the center point and you in the focus. Again, we do love you. We thank you for loving us. Thank you for saving us. We ask all these things in your precious holy name. Amen. Amen.
4:01, I call the meeting to order. And the first item before we approve the agenda is introduction of new staff.
We have several new staff here this evening, or this afternoon actually, and we're going to start right over here and just go down the line and let them introduce themselves. But before we start, Leah Pacey, who is a counselor, psychologist with our school system now, is also our varsity volleyball coach, and she is holding practice. She said to send her regrets, otherwise she would be here. Maybe we can get her another time. Okay, so let's start right here. If you would, stand up and tell us who you are and what you're teaching, and if it's difficult for us to figure out which school, help us know.
All right. Fair enough. My name is John Walsh. I'm fortunate to be teaching English over at the high school. I moved from a former career into full-time teaching 12 years ago. Got trained to teach in high school, but this is the first time I've been able to actually accomplish it, so I'm excited to be here.
Hey y'all, my name is Mari Driver. I'm a third grade teacher at West this year. It's actually my first year being an actual classroom teacher, but I've worked in classrooms, it seems like, all my life. So maybe not a classroom teacher, I'm not sure what next step.
Samantha Snowder, I moved back, class of 2006. I'm at West Elementary, 4th grade.
My name is Ray Dingle. I'm teaching 5th grade in science at West Elementary.
I'm Brad Mitchell. I'm teaching 3rd grade at East Elementary.
Hi, I'm Taylor Schmuck. I'm teaching 4th grade at Swain East, and I just graduated in May, so first year.
My name is Kylie Lamb. I'm teaching 2nd grade at East Swain, and it's my first year teaching.
I'm David Stewart. I'm teaching CTE at high school.
My name is Rob Short, and I'm teaching the alternative classroom at Swain Middle School, 2nd year teaching.
Hi, I'm Taylor Dixon. I'm teaching 6th grade math at Elementary School.
Excellent. Slide over here somewhere.
I'm Walker Portner. At Bright Ventures pre-K, and this is my first year, so last year, and volunteered a bunch.
I'm Dr. Russick. I teach art currently in that West Elementary, but I'll be moving to East Elementary in June. And years experience.
So you two gentlemen stand up and introduce yourself. You're here just in time.
I'm Chris Brookshire. I'm a PE teacher. This is starting my second retirement, so glad to be here. Thank you.
Matt Hooks, student intern from Western Carolina. I'm with him and Coach Holt, the high school teaching PE.
Very good. Did we miss anyone? I want to say thank you, all of you, for coming in this afternoon. I know you all have already had a long day. Do you have any questions for any of these folks? I think that they're glad that you don't. You all are free to stay as long as you want, or you can go work on lesson plans.
Go work on lesson plans. Go back to practice.
Son of a bitch, he's a big old boy, ain't he?
Gosh, yeah.
Golly. Bet he can eat.
I bet he can't. Yeah.
With that, the next item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions?
You should have a newly revised personnel list. There are 4 names that have been added to that. They were added yesterday and today, or maybe just today. I think that you'll recognize some of them. That Shelley Stageberg is actually, we would know her as, Shelby. We'd know her as Shelby Hyatt. She's coming back to work with us at the middle school. You will also, if you turn the page on that, you'll notice that we have an after-school tutor, Kayla Al. She is already employed by us, but she wants to work after school as well. And then we've had 2 resignations, and you can see who those are at the bottom of that page. I would like to include those in our personnel consent agenda, if that's okay with you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the 4 additional names that were added this afternoon?
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Passes unanimous. And approval of consent agenda. I guess that's where the personnel could come in as
That's where it
well.
would fit, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Do we have any additions to that other than what we've already discussed?
No other additions? No, sir.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge. And Joanne is at a soccer game, so if there is something else, she's the only one that knows.
Okay. Do I have a move to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Passes unanimous. I guess that takes us, because that is just indications of everyone where they're working. That takes us to any public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I didn't see anyone signed up for public comment. Did you see anyone, Sherry? Would someone go look? I don't think that there is. There is no public comment, sir.
That's what we're going to see. No public comment. Do we have a need to go into closed session briefly?
I believe we probably do.
Okay. Do I have a motion to briefly go into closed session?
I make a motion for the Board of Education to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11 under subsection A1 and 5 to prevent the disclosure of privileged or confidential information.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? We'll be in closed session for just a moment. Be back out briefly. returning back from closed session, discussion, any further discussion on any personnel?
Not as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
No, sir.
Superintendent's report.
Give you an update on where we are with the finance officer transition. Stephanie is continuing to work as our interim. We've employed Deborah Frisbee for oversight to make sure that we're following the correct processes. For example, you can't just go out and seek applications for a new CFO. They have to be approved at DPI as well. So we've done that. We had 6 applicants. 3 have met approval. We intend to interview on Monday afternoon. It's my intent to have 2 external CFOs from other school systems involved in those, as well as several of our staff. I think I've got 5 central office staff for that.
Mark, the other 3 that haven't met approval, will they be approved, or is it just that they won't? Okay.
No. That don't meet the qualifications and the expectations. Okay? I'm hoping that we'll be able to entertain moving towards the CFO, what is today, Wednesday, by this time next week, I'm hoping. However, I want to make sure that we get this right, because this is a critical position for us. Okay? But that's where we are on that side. All right? Scotty's going to give you some information about the athletic budget. Scotty and Jeff. Did Jeff leave? Jeff left. Okay. All right.
All right, so you should have a packet right there. We try to do like a news update, some financial news, and then some recognition. As far as the overall athletic programs goes, the fall sports are approaching the halfway point of the regular season. Postseason play for the majority of our teams will occur in the early weeks of October, so we're getting close to playoff time. We're about 4 weeks away. Some news as far as what we're hosting playoff-wise. We are responsible for hosting 2A cross-country regionals this year. It will be at Polk County, not in Swain, so we will be hosting on the road for the first time in a while. Our eligibility completed this week, so both our reports to the conference and the state have been completed. As far as some upcoming events, homecoming week is next week. On Friday, game against Andrews. Some other important dates, Hall of Fame game is on October 17th. In addition to that night, WLS is going to do their part of a live broadcast. It'll be what they call their Friday Night Rivals series. It will not conflict with our Maroon Dove network at all. Both will be up and running, and we actually get a little bit of a payment back from WLS for them being on campus. Induction ceremony for Hall of Fame is October 16th, that Thursday night, and then our Hall of Fame golf tournament will be on the 25th in the morning. I was talking to Barb back there. Our September online store will try to get launched next week at some point in time. We're trying to build it and finish it up this week and go from there. As far as recognition goes, I think we've done a good job as far as promoting, I guess, a thank you to our banner sponsorships. We've had 29 this year. It's been a great collaboration with them as far as moving forward. Catamount Travel Center, they didn't buy a banner, but they've offered to basically cover all of our golf teams. So for Dwight and his son, they've done all the equipment and apparel support for those 2 teams. So Great Smoky Mountains Railroad, if you guys have not noticed, we've had some, in the last couple of years, we've had a redesign of the gym windows. They did that, no charge. We have our floor decals with them, so they're one of our floor sponsors. And then this past week, we actually had them to redesign the front of the press box. Again, no charge at all for them to do the work, and we put that up last week. So the train's been pretty good to us as far as collaborating. And the only thing they really ask is us to kind of publish and make sure the community knows that they are a part of it. So, and then obviously last week, we had a lot of running around trying to get things together. So maintenance staff did a good job as far as we want to thank them for helping us as much as we possibly could with the many things we had going on. So that was a big thing for us. Financial wise, back in July, we had some general athletic spending that was in that packet that we gave you. There was some items in there. The only change that we saw occur as far as those items that were listed was Huddle. Huddle went up about $1,500. It's kind of unexpected out of nowhere. Wasn't really accounted for that. But as far as the other parts of it, we were pretty much under what we had talked about budget-wise in the July meeting. Now there is, obviously there's some new stuff that we've discovered, whether it's for uniform replacement cost. Obviously, with the new construction of how JV and baseball and softball is going to go, you're also going to be adding uniforms to those teams. So that would be cost effective as far as that goes, as far as moving that way.
I got a question on Huddle. Is it the subscription, is it sport specific? I mean, like.
So we have what's called an athletic director's package.
Okay.
So every team that has a possibility of using that system falls underneath that system.
So like we get it for soccer, we get it for.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, we probably have just roughing 12 accounts on there right now.
And if we, like, could we use that for like rec sports? Would youth football, if we're having a game there, could we turn on?
I don't know how they would do if they're adding that. You would probably have your own account. I mean, if you had your own account, but I know there's ways that if the cameras are set up, that would be more of a logistic question on the Huddle.
And most all the conference schools have that, right?
Yeah, I mean, anymore, you don't even have to travel. I mean, we never take cameras on the road hardly anymore, because most places, I don't know about football and outdoor stuff, but I know in indoor sports, most everybody has a indoor camera. It's set up on Auto Exchange, so we're not having to find somebody to film. That's usually how that works. But when it works, it's a great tool to have. And we had some problems, I think, Friday night trying just to get the thing to get online.
And do we have that for like basketball or?
Yeah, so like, for instance, volleyball last night, they can film as much as they want to. Now, there is certain, depending on what team it is, there is certain teams that have certain levels of hourly storage. And that kind of, sometimes if you've got years of either film or years of scout film, you oftentimes have to go back and download that to refresh your hours. But for the most part, I mean, anybody that plays a sport has it. And even the teams that don't have, like, let's say baseball and softball does not have they don't have outdoor camera, but they can theoretically put a GoPro, film from above the backstop, upload it into Huddle, and they have the same access that anybody else has.
We'll try to use it on the middle school level too, at some sports if we can.
And where the packages have gotten, used to be, I mean, it was like at 10,800 last year, but I've argued with the guy a couple times on the phone about it. And they've got certain agreements that kind of got to be fine-tuned going through next year, just kind of look, say, like, why we increased it and stuff like that. Because we've actually tried to look at doing the outdoor cameras for baseball and softball, but that's an additional, at this point in time, we thought it was a one-time fee, but that's a reoccurring, so you're adding another $3,000 to that bill each year, so. Any other questions on Huddle?
No.
It's a great tool. I mean, as far as being able to, I mean, you can do whatever you want to with it, basically. Then football actually has access to where they can watch replay, and they have all the assist stuff, so it's good. The sports spending program, in the July report, we made it to where we had kind of like what we projected, what we thought we were spending last year. As of right now, every team we have is within the green, so we've not even, some teams say have not used any funding at all as far as equipment goes. There's no needs there. There's one or two teams that are kind of flirting with that maximum, what we think, but for right now, we're pretty good. I feel like in that area. Revenue and income. So last year, in the report, like I said, in the summertime, the report, I think we had like roughly between like 86 and 95,000 what we thought we were doing from gate totals. Right now, I think we've made up about 21% of that, and we've had 6 volleyball games, we've had 1 varsity football game. Tonight's just our second soccer game, so we've not really had a lot of home events at this point in time to really, I mean, I feel like we're doing pretty good for having just, single-digit events.
So we're 21% of the total, not 21% on par. So like.
Whatever our goal was last year, we're just.
Okay.
This was based off last year's projection.
I didn't want to be 21% of where we were last year.
No.
Okay.
No. That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Room Double Network, I think last year I think it was around $12,000 we had coming in for that. The last report I got from Joe, we were between like $1,500, $2,000, and that was from late July, so we've not even had 2 full months off that. He could tell you more about the new subscriptions. I know for the Pisgah game, even though it was audio only, I think we picked up 9 or 10 new subscriptions that night, so it is generating like we had. And I think you had a question about the.
So I had somebody had asked me about, they tried to watch the Smoky Mountain football game, and it was like a pay-per-view rated at $10 or $11, something that didn't align with what the subscription price was. But you were telling me that was because it routed through their.
So a lot of schools have it set up to where they'll, like that camera, for instance, the huddle camera.
Yeah.
They will set it up to where it is linked through that, so there's no announcing, there's no broadcast, it's just, it's up, they follow the ball. For their, I think the only reason I knew it was $11 is because it was $10.99 on the night before when our JV team played there to watch it. So, I mean, I bought it just so I could watch them because we had a volleyball game. So there is some places we go to on the road that may have the subscription where it's a one-time fee, and that's why we usually try to, early in the week, I'll call Joe, look, this is what we think. Some schools will let us have video, but as of right now, the 2 road games we've had, it's not been anything but audio. So. Banner sponsorship program, I think our goal, we said, was like around 22,000. We have done about $3,000 more than we expected, and we've really not, we've had several businesses that we feel like are interested, but it's been more of like following up, and our plan was once we can kind of get through the eligibility part of it, get the first home football game and all those things kind of settled, try to go back out and try to start hitting some of those businesses again.
Scotty, what percentage on those banner sponsors would you say are, blue bloods, people that have been doing it for a long time versus what are new business?
Out of the 29 that we have right now, I would say we probably brought in, let's just guess, and I think probably 5 new ones. Now, some of them have been with us previously and may not have renewed last year or the year before, but then all of a sudden they came back, and we've also had some that we've had for a couple of years, and then they don't follow back. I mean, a lot of it's just communicating and trying to get in touch with those people as quickly as possible. The only real negative that we found with the banner sponsorship is the banner itself. One, the cost of them went up about $20 a banner. If you don't order so many in a bulk, you have to pay like basically an art fee. So you kind of have to have a window where you're doing like 6 or 7 at one time to get to where you're not paying an extra $120 every time you do it. So, but I think we found a way to. There's some company that we found that I think we can find the banners cheaper, create them ourselves. And I mean, I bought a $7 art like enhancement thing the other night to be able to make the thing clear. So we have the possibilities of doing that. So the season passes, and again, I think our goal is around 12. We're at about a little over 9. I think a lot of that's due to we haven't had the major home events yet to be able to produce that. We had a good night last Friday. A table set up. The card reader has made things a little bit more interesting for us because people have now the opportunity to swipe their card, we punch it in, and we get those sales. I mean, it generates a report, and we know pretty quickly what we've made off that. But again, just not having the number of events yet is kind of, I'm not concerned about it, but I think it will help us once we get more stuff going. Because a lot of people just don't have the access to come by the school and do it that way. And that's really how we've done it the first probably, I mean, obviously since we launched it in August 1st, that's how we've done it, is come by, pay it that way. So that we've really not had the access opportunities to be at an event to have those people come in and do that. Concessions wise, 58% gross. Now we have a report on Monday. I got to sit down with Ms. Ginger, obviously to look at what our product stuff is, what it's costing us going out the door to buy this stuff and have it in. And we had to go up on Pepsi products. So we're at $3 now, candy's $2.50. So basically everything's up at least 50 cents or $1 just so we can make a little bit more coming off that than we have in the past.
So potentially though, we're going to be in very good shape there.
Hopefully, yes.
That's what that looks like.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think right now, even in that report in the back, there's some information there in the back. I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but it'll actually show you like a breakdown of like each game, who's brought in, like what game is brought in this. I don't have it in here, but it tells you what. That's a generic report at the bottom of that third page. Like that doesn't have you're not seeing what I see, because in ours it'll have like every event, everything listed, what this gate was. The card reader stuff, we've introduced that. That's something new. It's been slow. I don't think people are really used to us having that now. But that has brought us in like, I think around $300-400 extra that we wouldn't have had. And if we can do that a couple times a year, it's an extra $1,000, $2,000 that we think. But hopefully it'll catch on a bit more than it is. So, any questions about that? Merchandise sales, so that's something that, obviously, we had talked about over summertime being new. We have spent several days talking with the Booster Club, collaborating with them. Miss Christina and her husband have done a great job, just basically make sure that place we've cleaned it up, they've got inventory where they need to be. So everything we feel like from now on is going to be profit from that end of it. And from our side of it, we talked about the online stores, and I'll talk about it in just a second. We're trying to introduce, you guys have this type of design, we've got this type of design, we see what's selling more, try to just feedback off each other and go from there. But our relationship's been pretty good so far, working together on that part of it. So the store stuff, now, this is one thing that I was talking to Coach Moore actually earlier today, is we've got to find a better way to push it out. Social media can't just be the only thing that we are sending this off of, because not everybody has Facebook, not everybody has Twitter. So finding ways to get that information out. And the only thing that the online store kind of hurts you with is I know, for instance, like I'll get an email, oh, it's open. But a lot of people don't pay attention. Well, it's only open for 9 days because you have to build the product. It takes 3 to 4 weeks to ship it. So our window of like offering it is kind of, it's not narrow, but it is time restricted. So by the time we get it out, some people will forget about it. Next thing you know, you're getting down to like the closing date and people forget. So
What about the opportunity like to pre-build a lot of, or some inventory and then just have
that's what
store open?
we actually have 3 designs coming. They're supposed to be here today. I hope they're here today when I got back to school, but I've been back up there. We have 3 designs coming.
Mm-hmm.
Our concern was starting out, we didn't want to put ourselves in the red.
Right.
So we've only ordered, like for instance, I think we ordered 40 of each one. So you got 8 of this size, 8 of this size, 8 of this size. I just didn't want to put us with a bill where you've got thousands of dollars worth of merchandise that that hasn't sold. So it's more of a filling out process. Plus, after we kind of learned that with Booster Club, like being an asset to us, we can kind of, I won't say ease our way, that's not what we wanted, because we had a great night last week. Friday night was great as far as merchandise sales. I mean, it was good. So, and I'm not saying we can achieve that every time we open the door, but it was a good starting point for us.
Absolutely.
If Barbara will turn loose some CT money, we can get us a T-shirt print and make our own, so.
If were you saying, like when we were talking about getting that out on social media and kind of getting the word out, was that like about the store in general or specifically?
Yeah, so when I create it, I'll get a link with the store is. So we have 2 ways we can do it. We do it through QR code. Yeah. So if somebody sees the flyer, they can QR code scan it, or they can type the link in. What we do is like through ThrillShare. I don't know if you're familiar with ThrillShare.
No, not specifically.
So I wasn't until about July, I guess, but basically we build it, we send it, once we hit a button, it goes out. So it hits Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything that we have social media tied to the athletic department, it goes out. And then what we try to do with our coaches store, and we limited the coaches store because we wanted the coaches to have something obviously like this is a coaches thing. I feel like we can attach those flyers and those links to staff email, to high school email, so that it hits everybody that teaches at East, everybody that teaches at West, and then by then you're expanding it. So if you get an email and I can forward this on to whoever. So again, it's one of those things, trying to figure out the best way to put it out there, because the first time we did it was just through social media and through a couple email links, and then now we realize like we've got to go even further and expand like the email chain part of it. And that's really the only way you can't post it up at Ingles on the window and hope that they scan it and go from there. But
Scotty, would it work if could we print that on like the banners that we're doing and say like home football game?
Yeah,
we've got it right there where y'all are selling merchandise.
Theoretically, yeah.
Here's a banner for the people that don't do social media or whatever. They see it and they.
Yeah, I mean that would be the ultimate way to. Once we have the home events, and that's why we're trying to build this September store as quickly. Like I've got to send it in, but hopefully, and it only takes really 3 or 4 days to build. Once it's built, it goes live, and I mean that's something that we could theoretically do is just put it out there. We've got it on social media. It goes to our school email system, and then if you have events, at the ticket booth wherever you got it, boom, QR code. Here's the items that are available for the next 9 days.
Yeah, I mean, even if you had a QR code or access to it all the time, and then even if you went in there and just realized, okay, well, it's closed, it's not opening for a couple more days, but then that same QR code would get you in when it was open, you know, something that would direct you there all the time and not a new one every time that we create a.
Yeah, I mean,
store,
you,
know?
you could, all you have to do, like, again, this is me being, when you have a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old and you stay up late at night, like, I have a QR code builder, you know, and so like, all we have to do is change the email or whatever the link is, it's the same code, and I mean, you could have it that way.
So,
Does everything drop ship to people, or does it come to the school? 'Cause
So
that's
that
one
was the
thing I noticed with
first,
the volleyball.
that was the first, volleyball was kind of the guinea pig, was, there is a fee if it's shipped, it's like $14 to ship it to you directly.
Yeah.
Based on the first store that we had online, we only had, I think we had like 20 orders maybe. So I said, well, I'll just take on the heat, ship it to me, and then we'll distribute it.
So will that save?
Yeah, it's free.
Money.
If they ship it
Okay.
to me, it's
'Cause I
free.
don't-
Then it's just a matter of like either, hey, look, if you ordered in August, you got to pick it up here.
Okay.
If you ordered here, I mean, it's trying to save money in all aspects of it to it. But then you, for me, I don't want to get like, if we have a store that's like 57 orders, tracking down 57 different people, you know, in a 2-day period.
I don't know if it would be bad to mix the two, but you could tell people they have to pick them up at the Booster Club.
Yeah, and
You
that's,
know, I don't, if you can do that, that might just say
well, the
this is a
first one we had in
location to pick up.
August is not, it's scheduled to come in this week. So, and I think it was between 15 and 20 orders. And most of those people, I mean, all your information's on there, so your contact, all that thing. So we can push it out to those people to like, hey, if it comes in tomorrow, you can pick it up Friday at the first gate.
Yeah.
Other than the merchandise sales, fundraising events, we had talked, we'd spent some time at the clinic, just meeting with different people who are, I would say, email-based or phone-based donation type systems. We got one we really like, Leading Edge out of Nebraska. Out of Omaha, Nebraska, but basically sent them our numbers, what we project. It'll be a overall program-wide thing, low ball. You can see the numbers on there. That's what we feel like we can bring in just on the low part of it. And that's an additional amount that we've not had an opportunity to acquire or obtain in the past. Benefit tournaments, you know, we talked a lot about that right now. From an alumni standpoint, you know, we had some alumni game stuff that was beneficial for soccer or in August. But as far as like a overall, like, hey, we're having a co-ed softball tournament or we're having a co-ed basketball, whatever it is, we've got some months that we're trying to narrow down, then trying to work around wrestling schedules, basketball schedules, finalizing what's the best as far as get the most people out. Same thing with like the softball. We feel like March is and we've had a lot of good feedback. It's people like, hey, we should do this. So it's just more about getting, it's out there, it's just narrowing down the date to do it, is what we're trying to do, so.
So you said that, leading edge, that is,
Yeah.
that number in there is legit?
That's, yeah, that's
Okay.
what, based on, I said, hey, how many kids we have participating? He said, if you don't make this, then we give you X amount, basically.
Okay.
Donations and unexpected outcome. Currently, it's always nice when you get a check that you didn't know was coming, and we've had a couple of those the last few weeks. A lot of that's been through like return from the state, whether it's through playoff reimbursement or basically at this point it's been playoff reimbursement, and then not, you know, knowing that we were getting something back from the WLS game. So those are things that I had no idea was coming, and all of a sudden, boom, they pop up. Miss Juniors, I got a check for you. So those have been nice to have. And then we've had talked about this in an alumni program that was kind of similar to the banner sponsorship, where you've got certain levels of it. Was approached by a couple gentlemen last week, because we had talked about it probably back in early August, but there's been more interest in that area. It's just a matter of like, all right, details, things like that. But I think it's a positive, something we could probably pull off. But it's getting people together to talk, work out the details, what's going to work for us, what's not going to work for us. But it would be similar to the banner sponsorship. And then obviously our next steps would be that we're trying to progress through. The next is reports of what we want to do upgrade-wise. We actually have some grants that we good time to say this joke, but,
Don't do it. It's not a good time, don't do it.
there's some stuff out there that we think we can take a real advantage of. It's just a matter of how do we want to get it out there, I guess is the best way to put it. But there's some things that we feel really good about applying for. There's 2 or 3 out there, one completed today, but got to finish the final step and don't really know the best way to approach that just yet. So, but there is some other grants that we're seeking to get to try to help us out some.
Is this one of the ones I sent to you that you had 2 days to complete?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, we had started it, and then the final step I'll show you, so.
Okay.
That's it about that, so.
I mean, you said you're up half the night anyway, so.
What's that?
You said you're up half the night anyway, so.
Well, Salem's, I don't know where she's at. She's in the back somewhere. Sherry and Knox is running around the field with
So you got plenty of time, you got
my
extra
mom at
hours.
the soccer game, so. That's good.
On the last page of that presentation,
Oh, yeah, sorry. Mr.
there are logos. In our last board committee meeting, Ariel mentioned that it would be nice to have some official logos, and we have them. And you will see in those policies, which I'll draw your attention to very quickly in just a little while, you will see that these are the official logos that people should be using if they are associated with the school system. And if there's going to be any variation, they need to come and talk to one of the ADs or building administrator before there's any deviation from that. Okay?
Okay.
And anything you see, like the QR code for Maryland Network, that is the official QR code, so that is the subscription QR code that gets people access to that website.
Okay?
Okay.
That's a great report, Scotty.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. That's
They
exactly
are-
what we've been looking for.
They are doing a tremendous, tremendous job. Really appreciate it.
Anything else? Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
You should have in your pack somewhere or a copy of the amendment to purchase the piece of property on Black Hills, 2.5 acres at $350,000. I've tried to get to the surveyor a couple of times while they were there and haven't been able to make it there in time yet. I've left a message. They're working on drawing that out for us. This has already been approved. The purchase has been approved by the commissioners. I would ask that you would approve this tonight so that we can extend this offer to Mr. Drinkwater and get this finalized. The one piece, Casey, that's not on there is the first right of refusal for the northern piece, and I talked to John Hennick. We're going to put that into another piece that will be coming out shortly after this. Okay? So that both of those will be covered. If you decide that you ever want to purchase that northern piece, or he decides that he ever wants to sell that, you will have the first opportunity to refuse to purchase it. Doesn't mean you have to. Okay?
What is LS3P, what's their pulse on if we don't have that northern portion?
I haven't asked them that question. I haven't felt from them that it will be a deterrent to what they're trying to do. Would it allow us to move a little farther north? Maybe so. I really think, Casey, this is just my opinion. It's an unqualified opinion. I think that piece of property could be important for us whenever we're looking at road.
Absolutely.
All right? So that's something for us to keep in mind. Okay? LS3P will be here, and folks, it may be next week, and I'll need to let you all know exactly when that is, because we're getting down to the point where they've got schematics, and it's going to be time to decide what size buildings we want and how much you want to spend on different things. It's real close. Okay? All right. So I would ask that you would approve that in just a little while. Do you have any questions about it? Okay. Barbara, would you come and give us a Title I report, please? Thank you.
Sure, if you have this.
I gave that to them, but it never hurts to have another copy, except that it kills another tree.
Good evening. I have been on the job about 6 weeks, maybe 7. So if you have questions, I may or may not have answers, but I'll figure that out if you do. On the title budget report, we've got 4 titles here that we look at, and the amounts are listed there. The Title I money has gone up this year from last year. I don't know why. Because I have asked that question and I don't have an answer back from that. But we did receive a little bit more for that. Now, when you look at overall the Title I budget, it is mainly salaries and benefits, fringe benefits. And then there's set-asides every year that you have to leave out for McKinney-Vento and neglected children allotments. So those are built into that, but the majority of that is all salaries, and those are listed there underneath the PRC 050. And then also there is a pocket of money for the Title I schools to receive parent and family engagement funds that they use for some of their parent nights and parent events that they have. PRC 103 is Title II, and that's supporting effective instruction, and that goes towards mentors, professional development, and beginning teacher orientation. It also pays some salaries and tuition reimbursements. Then we've got PRC 108, which is funding for well-rounded education, safe and supporting schools, and technology. There's a portion of that is helping us pay for Magic School AI, so we're paying for a little bit for that for all of our district. And then it also pays for some after-school for the site coordinators. It pays for those amounts as well, and it pays for the pre-K after-school. The next is PRC 107, and that funding is for at-risk population, and that's primarily for things that we do with Hawthorne Heights and the Children's Home. And then there is some counselor salary that comes out of that helps offset some of that. And then PRC 109 is rural and low income funding. And a lot of that is for student services, professional development for them to be able to go to state conference, and then some supplies. And then there's some salary there at the bottom that's going to help fund the assistant, the federal programs assistant. So that we have posted. If
And we
anybody
hope
knows
someday to
anybody,
hire.
if we know anybody interested in a central office.
That person would
assistant
also
position.
be her right hand for the after-school program. Barbara's been
And-
carrying that pretty much by herself.
And then they would also be doing some EC billing for Medicaid.
Yes.
So they would support EC as well, that position. So if you know anybody interested, please send them our way. Any questions?
I just got one on that Title II, the PRC 103. Tuition reimbursement, out of that amount, is that a incentive for our central office staff to do education classes?
It's not just for central office staff, it's for everyone in the school system. And you would probably be best to speak to that.
So we try to reimburse those that are going back to school to get their degree that's required for their current position.
Okay.
So if we have like a beginning teacher come in on a residency license and they're having to get another additional, have classes to finish, to be licensed, we'll reimburse one per semester and then one in the summertime until they get finished, as long as funds allow us to do so.
Yeah, that's a good deal, good program.
We do have TAs, teachers coming back. Has it been something that had went to the wayside? We have a plan that we've got to have submitted pretty quick. Lavonda and I started working on that this week, and we're hopeful that we'll get back in that full speed so that our teachers' assistants, if they wish to become full-fledged teachers, that we can assist them with their funds for them to be able to become teachers. If they'll go through North Carolina Educator Prep Programs, EPPs. So if we can, we're hopeful that we'll have some teacher assistants that take advantage of that.
I think we will, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Barb? Please ask her lots of questions.
No, we're good.
We tease Barbara and CTE about having more money than anybody else because they do, but it's a running joke. We like to use their money everywhere that we can. Okay. We've received our returns on the summative assessment for last year. We were particularly surprised with one of the outcomes, and that is the middle school received a D rating. We did not anticipate that. Ryan is going to speak to you in a little bit about perhaps why that happens, but more importantly, he's going to speak to you about what they're going to do to take care of that. We were concerned that because of the amount of growth that was going to need to happen with at East Elementary, that they might face a D rating again, and we were correct about that. Mike's going to speak to you about that, about the next steps on taking care of that as well. The high school and West Elementary received a C rating. The Academy is on a little bit of a different measurement system. And Mike, if I'm not mistaken, there's not enough data yet to give you all a full rating, is there?
No, sir, it takes about 3 years.
Yeah, it takes 3 years for that. So that's kind of a wait and see, although they're doing some really good things. Overall, Swain County Schools, if you take all of the measurements from kindergarten through senior or 12th grade, there's a 44% proficiency rating compared to the 55% proficiency rating for the whole state. Okay? Everyone, I think, will admit that we have work to do there. And we have plans in place that we're going to share with you about how we can look into that. A couple of school districts in the western region have really shined this year. One of them is Clay County. They have some really great things going on, and it's my intent to go to see Melissa Godfrey, who is their superintendent, and say, okay, tell me what you're doing. How are you doing this? Clay County has always had a really good track record as far as test scores are concerned. Another that probably should be mentioned that I didn't count on was Madison County. They've made some real growth, and I know their superintendent personally, and I'll spend some time with him, and we'll see. Okay, so what can we do? We've already done that some this summer as well, and we've put some pieces in place. One of the things that I've noticed in the data is that some of our subgroups are not performing like they have been in the past. For example, our boys are, at the elementary level particularly, are outpacing the girls. And that's a little bit unusual, you know? Usually the girls are the more academic. And that's not really fair to say because you're almost gender biasing on that, and I don't want to do that. We need to look at that and see how we can help support the female population, because different people think different ways, and I think we all recognize that. I'm really pleased. Now, we can do better on this, but I am, and I just want you to hear everyone say, our students with disabilities have not scored exceptionally high, but they're not far off of what everyone else is doing, including the state. And I think that's a point that needs to be raised, and that is, and please, I want all of you to hear what I'm saying on this. I will not make excuses. I will take ownership, and so will our school system. But the state assessment system, I'm just going to go ahead and say it how I feel it. The state assessment system is biased, and I can prove it is biased, and everyone knows that it's biased. Because when you look at how students that come from economically disadvantaged settings score compared to those who don't, there is a staggering one-to-one correlation with test scores. The more funding there is in a family's home, the better the scores are 90% of the time. You can track that, and it's been that way forever. Okay? The other piece that is absolutely true is that there are certain ethnic groups that continually score lower than others. White students almost always score better than African Americans, Native Americans, and Hispanics. Almost always. So there is a bias in the system, in my opinion. Now, we're not going to fall on that, though, because what we're going to do is look at where we are, own it, and we're going to move forward. I've got significant resolution on that, particularly in the area of reading. Our math scores are outshining our reading scores, and we need to address that all the way from kindergarten up. What we're seeing, what I've seen in the data so far, and please understand, I've only had the final data for about 7 days, okay? What I'm seeing is that when students enter third grade and they take their end of grade test, we're a little bit under the state average and under the region on that. But as they matriculate through 4th and 5th grade, our scores decline. I'm not pointing fingers at any teachers. I don't want to come across that way. But I asked Shona Penland today, because she did an outstanding job with her 5th grade students last year. And she teaches almost all of the, if not all the reading at West Elementary in 5th grade. I asked her why, and she gave me some ideas that we need to look into. One of the areas that we've got to focus on is making sure that all of our elementary students have strong and appropriate reading skills before we expect them to be able to learn by reading. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? And Mike Treadway and Katrina have already got some pieces that they're putting into place to address that, and we're also putting those into place for West Elementary. Ryan's going to talk to you about some ideas about how he's going to help his school improve the intervention opportunities for students that are struggling, because that's the primary piece that you can put there. The high school, folks, is a whole different concept because of the way that things are structured up there. I really, really like what Tyler and what Eric have done by taking the win time that has been in place for a large number of years and moving that block back into the regular schedule so that the teachers can have that extra time at the end of their 80-minute block so that they can do their recovery at that time as they need to. They're the specialists, so why not do it that way? I think that's a stroke of brilliance on their part. Yes, I said that about you, Tyler. It's the only time I'll ever call you brilliant, though, I promise. All right? So that's where we are as a district, and we will develop a plan. We've already started that. I've shared the draft with you for improvement. Right now, I need for Trina to come and to speak to you about what we're seeing right now with our early formative assessment and some other pieces. Now I'm going to step to the restroom.
And I gave you all a packet with lots of numbers on it. And I will preface this by saying these numbers will change just a little bit because our kids are not totally assessed yet. We had great sickness sweep through all our schools, and so there's been lots of kids out that were out for like a whole week, so we didn't get to assess them. On the first page, what you'll see here is the middle school beginning of year iReady scores for reading and where those kids fail, and the percentage of each kid in each category there. And then also for 4th and 5th grade reading not from just West Elementary, but for the whole district there. The reason there is no comparison, like you're going to see in just a minute with M class, is because we didn't do iReady in these grades last year. We switched back because we realized the assessment that we were using before was not rigorous enough, and so now didn't give us enough detail. So now we've switched back to iReady because we are confident in what iReady gives us, and we know that we can use that information to direct instruction in the classroom. So you don't have any comparison. This is just what we have right here, right now. And that's just the way it is right there. On the back of that page, you'll see the start of our M-Class scores. So you will hear teachers call it M-Class, Dibbles, Amplify. It's all the same thing. It depends on if you're talking about the company or the assessment or which part you're talking about. So when they mention those, it's all the same thing. So with kindergarten, of course, they didn't have any assessment last year. They're brand spanking new. And their scores fall exactly where I would expect somebody walking into the classroom for the first time and saying, hey, here, tell me all these letters. And they're brand new to school. So we'll see great growth there in kindergarten. The rest of the scores, all the way up through fifth grade, the current fifth grade, you will see the previous cohort right underneath. And that is where they ended last year. Okay, so in first grade, you see current first graders, where they started right now, and then where they ended last year, okay, all the way through. And then, of course, on the next page, we go all the way up to, it says sixth grade, but all it's showing is our fifth graders from last year, because they have moved on for the most part. And I'm not going to read all those scores to you. You can compare those and look at those. And, of course, you got to take in consideration a little bit of summer slump for missing those couple of months. And then we'll start to see growth again come MOY. We do that assessment 3 times a year. So they do it at the beginning, middle, and at the end. On the next page, what you find where it says what is missing. So what I did was I had AI analyze a little bit for me. And I took the scores of our beginning of the year M-Class, and I put them into AI, and I said, I want you to tell me for the kids that are not proficient. Okay, so it didn't even look at the kids that were at grade level or above. The kids that are not proficient, what skills are we missing? And what is the percentage in each category? And so that's what it's given me here. So in kindergarten, under phonics, for those kids that are not proficient, 96% of them need support in phonics. Well, that makes sense, right? Because they've had no phonics instruction for the most part. So that totally makes sense. And so you can see that all the way through. Where it gets kind of tricky is when you get up to the 5th grade on the next page, and it just has fluency and comprehension. The reason it doesn't go back so far is because the assessments change as the kids go up in the grade level, and so it doesn't necessarily assess that in 5th grade, because by that time we're looking for them to be able to read to learn, right, instead of learning to read. However, as a teacher, I can go back in there and start filling in the blanks. And I can look at their data in the past, and I can progress monitor them on those other skills to figure out why are they not fluent. Are they missing their vowel sounds? Are they missing their blends or digraphs? What's exactly happening there? So I can go back in there and help them. And so we're trying to support our teachers to be able to do that so they can bring that into their intervention instruction. Any questions about all that? That's a lot of numbers on there.
Seems like grade 3 is doing really well. I mean, whatever they're doing is really helping in phonics.
So are you looking at the BOI or?
Yeah, on that last sheet you was on, and we got the what's missing.
Oh, what's missing? Mm-hmm.
The phonics, grade 3 was 90.
Yes.
You know, and in grade 4, it's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, went way down.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When they come into 3rd grade, we're seeing really competitive results, at least from that perspective, and we have to ask the question, then what happens? Okay, and I'm not going to lay that at the feet of the teachers. I believe that there's something systemic there that we need to work on.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. So the next part is, what are we doing? What are we doing in the classrooms, at the district level? One thing that came out of our visits this summer is that when we met with the other school systems, is we wanted to make sure that we are coaching our teachers, coaching our admin. So now we have coaches in 4 of our schools again. Our deans, of course, are working as coaches as well as their other duties, but we do consider them coaches. We have our early literacy specialist, Kelly Smith. She goes back and forth between East and West, so she's there to support the teachers. That's a state-funded position. We're getting ready to do coaching training for all admin and coaches this fall. How do you coach? What does it look like to do a coaching cycle? When do you know how to do a coaching cycle? Those kind of things. I'm meeting every week with all of our coaches. I have a set of time that I meet with them to give them updates on curriculum. We're doing a little bit of coaching PD during that time, whatever they need for me to support them. In October, we have one-on-one coaching for our elementary teachers planned. And so I'll be part of that, as well as Ms. Smith and then our two deans. And we're going to take their data and break it down and drill it down and set those groups and help them find interventions so that they're ready to do that in the classroom. We're going to wait till October because then they will have progress monitored, and that gives the kids a little time to have a little bit more instruction so that they're not just coming straight in off of summer, and we can get a more accurate picture of where they are. We have lots of professional development. I'm not going to go through all of that with you. You can read that for yourself, but we are giving professional development to our teachers where it's needed. And then we have MTSS meetings going on, and if you remember, that's the multi-tiered system of support. That's how we know which kids need intervention and how much they need it, how much time they need, and size of groups and those kind of things. And so I sat in at West today. Mr. Sell came out today for a little while at West, and so it was really good conversation, and it let us hone in right on where we need to support our teachers to do that better. So that was a great experience. I'll be meeting with our admin to go over their reading targets and their data quarterly, and then Mr. Sell will be joining in along the way. We're going to focus on standards for instruction, okay, not just compliance like I finished my homework, yeah, I've got 100, but no, do I really know this standard? How do I know that? We have an expectation of very explicit instruction. Mr. Sell laid that foundation this summer, not in the summer, but at the meetings at the beginning of the year. And so we're working on walkthrough documentation for our admin so they can go in and do walkthroughs. We can go in and do walkthroughs and say, yes, this teacher is explicitly teaching this subject. And then there's also, Ms. Smith is required to do 3 literacy walks a year, and so she involves me and our principals in that. We're in the process of doing those. We did East one day this week, and tomorrow we're doing West, and that gives us a big picture of, are we using high quality materials? Are they explicitly teaching with those materials? Those kind of things. And then we're going to continue using Boost for kindergarten through 3rd grade. That is like an online intervention piece, and it is fed from their M-class scores. And then we have iReady for 4th through 8th grade, and again, that's fed from their diagnostic, and it puts them on a learning path, so it helps them fill in the gaps. Any questions?
One question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you said you're using Boost on grades 1, 2, 3. Does that teach phonics?
It does if they need it, yes. Okay. So if their M class shows that they needed phonics, it will go back in and fill it in, yes. Plus, they're getting intervention time with either a teacher or an interventionist throughout the day too. So it's like a double dose there.
I heard Shauna talking in one of these, or speaking in one of these, and she said, well, this particular student's getting a triple dose, you know? And that's exactly what we've got to do. We've got to maximize the amount of time that we can spend in these areas on these students.
Questions? Okay.
One of the actions, because a couple of our schools have received a D performance indicator, is the superintendent is supposed to decide what they want to do with that principal, whether they want to move them, put them on some kind of an action plan, or leave them where they are and support them. I have no desire to move Ryan or to move Mike. I believe that they are the 2 men for those jobs, and that they are going to take those schools to places that they haven't seen in a while. So I have no intent to move them. However, we will support them to the very best of our ability in every way that we can. I'm not going to ask for you to approve the East or the middle school NC STAR plans tonight. I want you to listen to them and look them over carefully, okay? Because they have more time before that really has to be approved as far as our expectations are. I will ask you to approve the pre-K NC STAR plan. I think that you'll be pleased with that in just a little while. On October 13th, you'll have all of the NC STAR plans in your hands. I would ask for you to approve them at that point. However, we have to give the public an opportunity to look at our improvement plans and to have public comment for a couple of them. And so that'll happen mid-October, okay? And as a matter of fact, at your November board meeting, we'll need to start the evening with an opportunity for live public comment for those plans. Okay, we're also going to provide 2 weeks of online comment time as well. That's a requirement from the state. And there are other expectations that come along with these designations that I won't bore you with. However, I will provide for you a sheet of the timeline for that, okay? Do you have any questions about any of this? I hope that you understand that we're serious and we're working hard, and our staff is working exceptionally hard to meet this challenge. Okay, they are. So, Trish, I hope we haven't held you too long. I know that you were trying to get to a game.
Whitney's brain part.
Okay.
Your meeting's about to get more interesting when he gets here. So I have the goals that Bright Adventure is going to be working on for the next 2 years. I spoke with them at our planning meeting right before school started. We talked through, had some really great conversation about explicit instruction and what that looks like and how it looks differently in a pre-K classroom versus for older students. So, and I just open it as, y'all tell me, what is explicit instruction? Because these ladies are experts in their field, and they carried the conversation of, this is what I would expect in a high-quality early learning classroom where intentionality and explicit instruction are forefront in it. So with that, we went back, we looked at the past 3 years of our teaching strategies data, and I have them for you in pretty colored graphs, so that you can compare how our students come in. I just did fall and spring graphs, I didn't do mid-year for you. And these are broken down by developmental domains. I believe you have them in your emails.
Yes, thank you.
So these are broken down by developmental domains. And the numbers are really tiny, so I can email you as well. Social, emotional, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, and mathematics. And each of those domains has objectives within them. So when we look at our data coming in and patterns for our community, we consistently see deficits that are larger in social emotional learning, as well as math, seem to be early learning deficits that have big gaps. And we make huge growth over the year and consistently have no more than a 10% of students who are not meeting or exceeding expectations in either of those over the 3 years. However, we're seeing bigger and bigger deficits, specifically in social emotional learning. So knowing that, it means we have more growth to do just to keep pace with where we've been getting. So how do we attack that? We looked at NC STAR, at indicators that feed what we're wanting, and ultimately the teachers, and I went with, you can see it on the wordy page at the end, went with NC STAR indicator A406, which is all teachers are attentive to students' emotional states, guide students in managing their emotions, and arrange for supports and interventions when necessary in accordance with the NC STAR indicator. That being because if a child is not ready to learn when they leave us, then they still have a lot of things to climb over come kindergarten. So for us, if we can attack that social emotional learning strong and explicitly, and we can help them make those strides, then everything else they have capacity to learn when they get there. Doesn't mean we're not reading. It means that while we're reading books about how do we listen with our whole body, how do we name our feelings, and what do we do with those feelings. So we're making sure that the SEL piece is overlaying everything we do. Part of that conversation was also, what can we take off of our plates to make more room for that. Because if you've been in one of these rooms, you know that these ladies move nonstop all day long. So what can we move out of the way so that they can get to that SEL skill, so they can put in their intervention groups? And we broke down 3 action steps to help us do that. The first being intentionally completing their second step SEL lessons 80% of the time, so 4 out of 5 days, 5-day week, because sometimes things get pushed because of a behavior in your classroom, or somebody threw up all over the carpet and now we're gonna have a real hard time having circle. So making sure that you're hitting it at least 4 times, and that means something else might get moved so that that SEL lesson can happen. So we're gonna make that the priority over other things. Then our kids, and we've used MTSS for this before, but making sure that we stay on top of it moving forward as well, using our teaching strategy checkpoints and anecdotal records to build our intervention list when they're not meeting the places where they should be. So every time we do checkpoints, we're checking to see, okay, how many of these objectives are they not meeting or exceeding expectations? This kid isn't doing what we hoped they would do by this point. Let's build an intervention time for them where you practice turn taking or solving a social problem, those little mini skills before they're mad, so that they can practice it when they're calm and they have a better shot at getting to that plan of action when they are angry. And then the third piece of that, because we do see more and more of this, is how we cope with challenging behaviors for little bitty kids. And that being sometimes nonviolent, but sometimes violent behaviors when children don't know what to do with themselves when these situations arise. So completing functional behavior assessments when these pop up. So we're not waiting. Preschool teachers have kind hearts, and they're often like, let's give them time. I'll help them through it, and they try and love them through it. So I'm pushing them and challenging them. Let's not just love them through it. Let's go ahead and collect that behavior data. And that is time consuming in a preschool room. So collecting that data so that we can form behavior assessment plans and then build them behavior improvement plans, staying on top of it. We talked a lot about parents coming in and having those hard conversations with me so that they're looking at my face when I'm telling them, this is what I see in the room and this is our plan for how to address it so that your child can learn. So putting that in, I have a spreadsheet running where I go ahead and build in dates of when those things are due. I go ahead and schedule emails to go, so the teachers get an email saying, hey, your time's up, come and see me. And they know to bring their data to me when that's coming. So we feel like it's a good plan as a team. Ways that I'm measuring this year is walkthroughs, working on looking for that explicit instruction that they outline for me. What does that look like, and are we getting it in? How can we improve it? And also giving feedback not just to them, but to their TA, who is also learning and playing that active role in instruction. And then with that, we'll see the increase in growth percentages and decrease in children who are not meeting or exceeding expectations in that area. And you have lots of tiny numbers to look at. If you're looking at those and you have questions for me, please shoot me an email or give me a call. Is there anything now I can answer for you, or a gap you see that I should address?
I want to encourage each of you to take time and spend a day in a classroom at each one of our schools. A whole day. Start at the pre-K, spend a whole day. And I promise you, by the time that they go down for nap, you will too.
True story.
Okay? As a matter of fact, I think that could be one of the greatest exercises for school board members or anybody in the public. Spend a day in a classroom, a whole day, not a few minutes, a whole day, and watch what's going on. Because I think that you'll be pleased, and I think that we'll all learn from it as well. Okay? Any questions for Trish? Thank you, Trish, very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Treadway, would you like to come and present your report to us? Yes? No? But Tyler's laughing at you.
I don't know what I could add to everything that's been said.
Your wisdom.
I wanted Ryan to go next because, as you'll notice, I didn't bring your handout, so I broke the train. The handout train. Sorry, Chief. Y'all received the access to the NC STAR information plans, I assume?
Yes,
Okay.
it was provided, yes.
Okay, so, that was why I didn't printout, handout, whatever. I assumed you looked at that. So the data speaks for itself. We are where we are. Our numbers are poor. Relative to whoever number, they're still poor, in my opinion. What I would tell you, in support of my folks at East, we met growth in reading.
There you go.
And you would say, wow, you're at 31.8% and you met growth. Well, that measure starts from where they're at to where they're at. And we start far too behind. Where we're measuring 3 through 8, 3 through 5 for me, we've got children who are coming in to be assessed that are nowhere close to the third grade level. So our plan, as you look through there, you may very well think, well, that's fairly generic, because it is. Everything we're going to do is absolutely foundational. It's really nothing earth-shaking, nothing probably more old school than you'd like to believe. I'll go ahead and laugh, kitty core, I don't care. We bought some books. We're going to do a U-Fly program for our phonics instruction. We're not going to be in the computer for all that all the time, primarily because I don't feel comfortable in there. I don't like that approach. I want my folks to be shoulder to shoulder with them and eyeball to eyeball with them. That's an old expression, but I think there's still value there. If we like to talk about the research for children in poverty, talk about how they respond to the personal touch, that personal interaction. So we're busy building relationships out there. We just had a Grandparents' Day. We welcomed in over 300 folks coming in for Grandparents' Day. I wrestle with things like that, I don't mind telling you, because when you look at our instructional day, we end up with about 3 hours of instruction. Well, you're giving up instructional time to have those types of activities. But I feel like there's so much value in building that support, building that connection. I want our grandparents and our parents, and in some cases that's both, that's the same person for our kids. I want them to know our folks. I'm fortunate enough, they know, most of them know me, some of them I had in school. Whether that's good or bad, that's all relative. But they know me, so they're comfortable with me. I want them to get as comfortable with my young folks as they are with me. More importantly, I want our young folks to get comfortable with them. Our demographic is not the teachers we're employing, so therefore they don't necessarily understand where our kids come from. You know, our kid opens their book bag this morning and roaches run everywhere. A new teacher that's from Charlotte Meck, they're not always accustomed to that. So we spend some time around that relationship piece, and it's in that plan how we will do more of that. We're expanding our leadership notebook, I think it's called in the past. We're going to have some more leadership afternoons. We're trying to build those around days that will already be lost. For example, our first 9-week leadership meeting will occur during the fair when people are coming to check their kids out and they're going to be leaving. In order to get your kid, you got to come to the class. You got to come look and let your kid show you what we've done thus far, and everything's graphed out and mapped out, and let a kid be proud of what they're doing. Let that teacher have an opportunity to get a little bit of ear time. More importantly, let that parent see a glimpse of what we're trying to do. We don't read enough. We don't read enough words. So we've got 5 positions at East. We call them interventionists. We send those 1 through 5 because our kindergarten has a full-time assistant. So I don't use those 5 folks down in the kindergarten unless, of course, sickness hits, and then we end up using them everywhere. Because, of course, finding substitutes, as y'all have heard, is difficult. We are going to work on our plan, and it's not in this, a plan to address that, though, because we can't keep using those folks as substitute teachers and gain any ground at all. So our staff will get together and we'll come up with a better grade level plan to address that. I think our teachers will be more comfortable with what we're going to do that way, too. As you look at these things, these 3 goals, when I look at my sheet, I've got them, goal 1, opportunity gap. To me, that's a kid goal. That's something that we put together to make sure our kids, whether it's whatever demographic you want to talk about, has equal access across our school. That's easy for us because most of our kids are in the same boat. That makes it really convenient and really difficult. Goal 2, school improvement. To me, that's an adult and a kid goal. We have to improve the adults in our building, and we're doing that through different professional developments, different approach in our planning, different utilization of our data. We'll meet tomorrow, will be our first little PLC, and I don't use that term very often, PLC. I think it's ridiculous. I think we're all professionals, and I think we learn every day, so we're in it. But we're going to get together tomorrow and use about 20 minutes of their planning and start looking at our beginning of the year data. When we started the school year, all we had was end of year data, and some are hesitant to use end of year data because we don't really know where our kids are. Well, I can promise you that most of my kids, 98% did not come back ahead from where they left us. So the things that we've been doing, waiting on this new data to come in, was not a whole lot different than what we'll be doing. But I do want to make sure we're intentional. I want to make sure our teachers know how to open that data, how to manipulate that data to drill down, like Trina had talked about, to understand exactly where each of those 18 faces are at. I don't want us to just teach the grade level. I want us to teach the child, and I want us to use our resources accordingly to do that. So we'll do that tomorrow with that plan, and that's why I look at it under that part that teaches our teachers how to do that. The preparedness, we do a lot of things in our district, training-wise, but like most things, there's a lag. You know, Trina's talking about our plan and the things we're going to get done between now and then, and I'm still at 31.8. So I'm trying to hurry my folks along and create this urgency that it reminds them we don't have a lot of time. We have X number of school days and X number of hours, but we don't have a lot of time. So as you look through the plan, and if you come out to East, I hope those are the things that you'll see. I hope that's as you steer folks our way, because I know people are in your ear all the time. I hope that you feel like it's a good place that they can send their kids, not just because you sit there, but because you live here, and that's who we are. Questions? I won't have the answer, but somebody will. I got a good bunch, I really do. I inherited a good deal from Tyler, and I appreciate you not letting me go because of the D status, but,
Lucky,
lucky me.
I'm not even going to respond.
None necessary, I just thank you. Nothing. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're going to bring Mr. Dr. McNabb with you?
He's here, he's here because he's a good.
Have y'all met Mr. McNabb? He's James McNabb. He's the assistant principal.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Just don't judge him by what he drives.
So, I'm gonna, I'll save it, I'll save the story. I don't want to embarrass you.
Who, me or him?
Mr. McNabb.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go through our strategic plan for the year. Number one, we had a lot of these things in place before we got results back at the beginning of the year. And I think most of you know me well enough to know that I'm a very competitive person, and receiving a D is not something that that sits well with me. And it's not something that I intend for us to be at the end of the year. In this plan are not more excuses, there are solutions. I believe in coming with solutions to solve the issue. So one of the things that the majority of this is our plan to mitigate those achievement gaps, to enhance grade level proficiency, meaning students scoring 3, 4s, and 5s on those end of year assessments, and preparing those students for future and college successes. One of the biggest resources that we have gotten over the summer was the Golden Leaf Grant, and that worked with the Marzano education team. They are a worldwide, world-leading education research team. So that has been a huge ask for us. And so, we come from a community that has lots of barriers in our way for our students, financial, whatever you want to call them. And so we have to do things like this. We have to reach out for grants. We have to find those extra resources. And this right here is one of the most beneficial things to happen for Swain Middle School in some time. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Basically, in a nutshell, this Golden Leaf Grant, it is a push towards competency-based education, meaning not just giving an assignment, getting a grade, and putting it in the grade book. knowing exactly where our students at for every standard that's assessed on those EOGs, and having a structure in place to do that the entire year. The way that we're going to do that is through proficiency scales. So you have a standard that the student is supposed to be assessed on, and with that proficiency scale, they should be able to do these things. And if they aren't able to do those things, then we're going to intervene with those students. So we are doing weekly assessments with our students, and those assessments can be 5 questions to 10 questions, but they're not meant to be 30 and 40 question tests. They're meant to be a snapshot, a temperature check of where our students are at with the standards that are being taught for the week or for the month. So that has been a huge shift for us, making sure that we are actively assessing where our students are at on every standard that we are teaching. So again, this grant is a huge feather in the cap for us. It's research-backed. It's a framework for our school improvement, and the specific focus is on effective teaching and giving our students a viable curriculum. So I've highlighted some goals specifically for English and math. We've used some of the language from our iReady platform that we utilize to help our students. The biggest goal is this is our English and language arts, to increase the percentage of students scoring proficient, that's making at least a 3 on the EOG, from 44% to 50%. That is the stretch goal that we want. The attainable goal, what we have to have, the non-negotiable, is we want to go from 44% to 47%. We gotta have that this year. And I know that our staff and our students they're gonna do their darndest to make that happen. So you can see I've got the stretch goal there going from 44% to 50%. I've highlighted in this packet, there are specific areas within the ELA standards in each grade level that have shown the biggest deficits, and what we're going to highlight and focus on with a much more of intentional focus this year. So I've done that for each grade level. I'll let you look through that. Specifically with math, the overall goal is to increase the percentage of students scoring proficient. Again, that's at least a 3 on the EOG, from 46.5% of the students to 53%, and that's across 6th through 8th grade. That attainable goal, we have to have at least 49.5% of our students meeting that goal. With that stretch goal, extending beyond that to 53%. And again, I've highlighted some specific areas within the curriculums of where we need to see a much more intentional focus on. One of the biggest things that I'm excited about is our science instruction. I don't know that we've had a science curriculum at the middle school last 15 years, 20 years. So with that, we're piloting a curriculum for our teachers to be able to draw from and to use as another resource for them. So I'm very excited about that. I'm seeing lots of great things coming from that. This is a research-based, inquiry-driven program, and again, it's driving home that real-world application. And again, it's preparing them in science, but also in future STEM pathways, whatever pathway they choose. But I'm really excited about that. The next thing that we're going to be focusing on is a commitment to teacher support. Our teachers they're on the front lines, and we have to support them and giving them the training that they need. That's one of the greatest pieces that comes with this Marzano Golden Leaf Grant. We have access to all of their resources. We have access to their coaches. So I'm very excited about that. We actually have a gentleman coming on Friday who's going to be spending the whole day with us. And he's going to be in classrooms, and it's a great opportunity to have an outside perspective on what we can capitalize on. So very excited about that. Ms. Turbyfield mentioned a lot of the coaching, hands-on coaching. One of the more intentional efforts that we're making at the middle school is giving that immediate feedback to our teachers. Hey, this is what I saw when I was in your classroom. And something that we've implemented, we have a walkthrough rubric that we go through. We fill that out, we submit it, it sends it straight to them after we're done with that walkthrough. It gives them, hey, this is what I saw when I was in your classroom, and it's a great conversation starter. Hey, this is where I think we can make some adjustments. So very excited about that. A big one that I think sometimes gets overlooked is just the attendance of our students. If they're not at school, they're not learning.
That's right.
So I do like to be competitive with our staff and our students and give incentives and do different celebrations for them. And one of those big things is going to be our attendance this year. I got to have them there 95%, at least 95%. So we're looking at a school-wide goal every week, 95%. A monthly goal of 95%. And if we can do those things, our outcomes are going to be where we want them to be. So I've got all kinds of different incentives and things that I think that the students will be interested in. We also have a daily attendance tracker for our students. I am not a social media person. I don't have any sort of Facebook or any of that, but they do. And so I had to learn some things over the last few weeks. So one of the things that they I guess are big into, and it's called a streak tracker. So the person with the longest streak, you get a lot of, I guess a lot of accolades and fame from that on some of those social media sites. But it's just another way to relate to our students. So each one of our students gets an attendance tracker, and we've got things that for students, if they have the longest streak, we're going to reward that student. So lots of really neat things that we're going to be doing with our students, but we got to have them in the building. If we're going to do the things that we want to do this year, we got to have them in the building. So some key aspects, what we're going to do on our end to make sure that, hey, we're hitting these marks. Mr. Treadway said this professional learning community, and I know he didn't like to use that acronym, but and I agree with him. We all are professionals, but we've got to structure each day. This Monday coming up, we are having a PLC day with our teachers. I have strategically planned that day out, not only to work with their grade level equivalent, but also a time for professional development built into the day, and as well as vertical alignment with not just the sixth grade team, but I'm working with my math department, I'm working with my ELA department, so we can have that continuity. I'm very excited about that. We call them our WIG meetings, or those are our wildly important goal meetings. We used to do those every other week. I have backed off on those and established those to be monthly. I feel like that gives us a better time frame to gather data and to be able to look at that more effectively. So the things that I want from those meetings when we sit down is every teacher's going to share out, this is the standards that I taught for the month, this is how my kids did on those, this is what I'm going to do to fix it for the ones that didn't get it, and this is where we're heading next. And also, how am I going to incorporate that throughout the rest of the year? It's not just a teach it and forget it. We're bringing it all along for the entire year. So very excited about that. I mentioned our staff walkthrough form, but again, this is a lot. I know it's a lot, but it's something that we have to do to get to where we want to be. And Mr. Sell mentioned something about interventions. Those weekly assessments that our students are going to have, those short snapshots of the standards being taught for the week. If a student has struggled with that specific standard, we have set up a system where that student can get an intervention that following week. So those assessments happen on Friday. Monday, the teachers can analyze those results. Tuesday, they're in an intervention group working on what they missed. So, and that is something that we are very passionate about, and it's what's needed. And we have found that, just based off of our data, we're having to intervene with a lot of students, so that's why we have to have these things in place to get them where they need to be. I also included some things in here. I'm not going to go over it with you. I'll be more than glad to share it with you if you have any questions about it. But there's just some data from all across the western North Carolina, some of the schools that are comparable to us. One of the last pages that I just want to touch on really quickly is it's the second to last page, and it highlights the state's goals for proficiency for grades 3 through 8, and all of the subgroups that are listed there. Not a single subgroup has met the state's goals Across the state of Across North the Carolina. state. Did you get that? They set, the state set their goals for themselves, and they're not meeting their own goals. And specifically, just one metric, if you take a look at all students for the 2024-2025, the state's target was 63.3% of all students. The percentage that actually met that target was 38.1. So you've tasked me to be the leader of Swain Middle School, and I'm going to focus on Swain Middle School, and we've got a great plan in place, and I know that we're going to have great results at the end of the year. The information at the bottom of this page is telling.
Yes, it is.
Okay. There's one metric on there that highlights middle schools. There are no middle schools west of Catawba that are a designated A or B school. All schools are a C, D, or an F west of Catawba. There are more A, B, and C schools in the state of North Carolina this year than there were last year, but there are also more D schools than there have been in the past. So what we're seeing this. And one of the interesting metrics, and we've talked about this. This is not a. I have a picture in my office that says complaining lets other people know you're not in control. And so this is not a complaint. This is just the facts and the reality of things. An 8th grader this year, when they take the EOG, has to score in the 86th percentile to pass the test. Yes. If you line up 100 students, the first 14 pass. So we have a strong plan in place. I have a great staff, and I have great students. Yes. And we're gonna get to work, and we're gonna do great things this year. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are several board policies that are in front of you. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time to go through all of them unless you want to. RL and Mitch sat down with me and looked at the diversity, equity, and inclusion policies from weeks ago. There were some adjustments that were made in those. I gave you a cheat sheet that explains where those adjustments are.
Is that the revision?
I think it's this one.
That's the summaries. I gave you, there are two separate sets of policies, okay? I would suggest, unless you want to have conversation about them, I would suggest that you go ahead and approve the DEI policies this evening. Okay, those have been vetted by the lawyers. Most of what's in there has been sent to us by the lawyers. I think that Mitch and RL agree that they're in a good place now.
Yeah.
Okay? However, the time is yours if you want to go through any of them. Anyone? Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll ask you to approve those. The first reading of the summer updates, and Casey, that's the piece that you have, okay? I really do want you to read those policies and look at them, and I want you to look at that little summary that I gave to you, because there are some really interesting statements in those policies, particularly in those first three, that have to do with trips and rooming, okay? I have sent the recommendations that came from RL and Mitch to our lawyers, and I got an email today from Ashley Leonard that said she will have those answered tomorrow. So I will share those answers with you, and then we're going to need to look at how you want to proceed for those. One set of policies also has to do with advertising and using logos and things like that. I put a statement in those that requires that organizations use school-approved logos. So that will be in policy, all right? I think that's important. Did I include in your packet the approval forms for fundraising or for donations? If I did not, I need to get that to you, because we have forms that have been in place to request fundraising or to request that a donation be made to the school system. And I want you to look at those, and if you have any thoughts about them, we can make adjustments. Those are not required in that format necessarily by policy. However, I do have to provide some type of a system for us to follow, okay? I want you to look at those. Other than that, just to take an hour and have some fun reading policy. All right? Right, RL?
Right, yeah.
Okay. You know what? That's all I've got tonight, except I need to tell you that State Superintendent's coming to visit us on October the 23rd. Okay? Mo Green is going to be here. He's going to have lunch at Darnell Farms after he visits Macon County. At 1 o'clock, he'll be at the middle school to tour it and to talk with Ryan and his staff about the Golden Leaf High Reliability Grant, because Superintendent Green has been instrumental in getting that moving forward. He wants to see what's going on with that. Then we're going to take him up to the school construction site and just let him look at it and get some candid shots up there, okay? At 4:45, there will be a dinner at the high school media center. Julia Hunt's going to cater that. I would really like for you to block that time out if you can't do anything else that day with this. You're welcome to attend any of this that you want to, but I think that dinner is important, all right? There'll be about 25 of us there. Senator Corbin won't be there. He's been invited, but he has another obligation. But we'll see if we can't get Mike Clampett to be there, and others as well. Okay? After that, at 6 o'clock, actually, there will be a gathering in the Arts Center where Superintendent Green will go through the DPI strategic plan. And you will, if you could be there for that, I believe it would be worth listening to. Plus, he puts an opportunity at the end of that for question and answer from the audience. All right? If you could please be there until 7:30 or so. Following that, he's going to have a private session with media, and then he'll go on his way. This is a pretty big deal.
What's the date again on that?
October 23rd. I was at a state board meeting back in January, February, March, somewhere in there, and asked to have 10 minutes with him, and I said, would you please come to the Far West? Please. First of all, I want you to see Swain County, and secondly, I think that it would be good for you to come and to see who we are and let us see you. And so he put that in his schedule, and I really do appreciate that a lot.
You said the dinner started at 4:30?
If you were, 4:45.
4:45,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
At the high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Would appreciate you being there, okay? That's all I've got, sir.
So we'll move on to action?
If you'd like to, unless you just want to talk some more.
Let's move to action.
Okay, all right. Could I please recommend that the Swain County Board of Education approve the consent agenda, including personnel and the minutes from the August 11, 2025 meeting?
Motion. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Pass unanimous.
I would recommend that the Swain County Board of Education approve the Black Hills land transaction as it has been given to you.
Motion. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Passes unanimous.
I recommend that the Swain County Board of Education approve the Title I plan as presented by Ms. Sneed.
Motion. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Passes unanimous.
I recommend that you would approve, please, the NC Star report as presented by Tricia for Bright Adventures.
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Passes unanimous.
And finally, I recommend that the Swain County Board of Education approve the DEI policies as you have them in your packet.
Motion. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Passes unanimously.
There are several opportunities for you to participate in our schools, and then your next regular meeting is October 13th. I don't believe that there are any athletic events that evening to interfere, if you would like to meet at 5 o'clock.
When was this?
October 13th.
Okay.
5 o'clock?
5. If any of you run into some kind of a hindrance on that, if you'll let Cody or myself know, because I see RL searching his memory banks right now. Okay?
I believe I'm good on that.
Okay, all right. That may be a little bit of an extended meeting also because we'll be going through some more NC STAR plans. And the district will be presenting our improvement plan for you. Okay? You'll see some transfers if you pay attention to the last one there. It's our hope that we'll be able to have someone as the Career and Instruction Management Coordinator and also the District Public Information Officer. It's a dual position. However, if I'm not mistaken, Barbara, that's contingent upon finding someone to go in the classroom, correct? So once that person becomes available, I'll be sending it to you for a quick approval so we can get somebody in the PIO position. Pretty important. Okay? That's all I got.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Hey, all in favor? Meeting's adjourned. 6:20. Got you out in 10 minutes. 10 minutes to scratch.
Got 10 minutes to get to church.